What's going on YouTube? I wanted to get down here in the shop to do a quick video for you, kind of going over my traditional bow hunting setup. I've been a bow hunter and avid archer for over 15 years, and I've just this year taken the dive into traditional archery, full bore. I've dabbled with it some in the past and did some hunting and shooting and carving bows out of trees and stuff like that whenever I was a kid, but never really ventured down the path with intent to be passionate about it or to do it the right way. And that's something that in my adult years now, and after harvesting a lot of animals with a compound over the years, I was just ready for some more challenge, ready for something a little bit more, I guess fulfilling is the best word that I could use to describe it. And traditional archery is just something that's always been on my list. I've wanted to do it and hem-hawed over doing it for quite a few years, and I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole until I was ready to do it the right way and be devoted to it, practice regularly. And this year was the year to do it. I just said heck with it and went for it, and I was able to finally harvest my first whitetail with traditional archery equipment this November, so that was pretty cool. So anyway, to jump right into it, my bow, this is a wing archery made by Bob Lee. This bow was made, to the best of my knowledge, in either 1974 or 1975. An old bow for sure, but it's aged well in a sense. It's almost spotless. Whenever I got it, hardly a blemish on the bow or even a scratch. It was used very lightly. I don't think it was ever hunted with or anything like that, but it's the Red Wing Hunter, which was a pretty popular and a big hit during the time. I think they started making the Red Wing Hunter in the 60s, if I'm right there, and they stopped making them in 1978, and I'm pretty sure wing archery ceased operations in either 79 or 80. But there was a couple bow companies that, for lack of better terms, ripped off the design of this exact bow. Obviously, you can't get this bow anymore unless you pick it up off eBay. But the 58-inch Bear Grizzly is essentially the exact same bow. Moving on, I want to kind of work through what's physically involved in the bow itself and attach the bow, and then we'll move to arrows. Best $12–15 I've spent so far on anything is on a quick lock arrow holder. In my mind, as of right now, one of these is almost a necessity. Especially for the hunting side of things, it gets a pain in the neck having the arrow falling off the shelf all the time. The wind, blows your bow and makes it rock on the hook and in your tree, and your arrow is falling off the string, and it's just a pain. And that lasted for all of about 1 or 2 hunts, and I ordered one of these. Learned my lesson pretty quick on that one. I'll tell you what, let's just stick with the shelf area. The way I have my shelf set up here, I kind of get the best I can to a close-up there of the way I got that set up. I'm running a Bear weather rest, one of these right here. They're super cheap, super easy to get a hold of. You can order them from 3 Rivers, or my local pro shop had these hanging on the shelf, so I picked up a couple of them. But I run a Bear weather rest, and what I've done, this was inspiration from the guys over at the Push Archery channel. Go check them out. Awesome resource, awesome group of dudes. what I did was I cut the top portion, if you can see that. I cut the top portion, that striker plate, essentially that is built into the rest, off to be flush with the flipper, if you will. So you have the largest surface area possible for your arrow to rest on, and you're not trying to fight for space with that extra rubber that's on top above that flipper. So I just cut it off flush, and in order to create a minimal contact point against the sight window, I super glued a 1-inch piece of toothpick actually to the riser itself and the sight window, running vertically up away from the rest to create the most minimal contact point possible on the bow, which is what you want ideally for the most accuracy. I shot off the shelf for a long time, and even up until really the past couple weeks, I shot off the shelf until I made this change. A little bit of theory and science as to why I decided to do this, not only to have a more minimal contact point, but when a bow is made, they're generally, a traditional bow, they're generally made tillered a certain way. And I don't think it would be a total stretch of the imagination to say that these older bows were all made tillered to be shot with a split finger grip on the string. That is where you have the arrow on the string, right, knocked in on the string, and you grab it like this. I shoot, along with many others, shoot a 3-under grip, and the more I kind of played around with it, especially while tuning, I kind of came to the conclusion and kind of got the feel that I was loading, I guess it would be the bottom limb more than the top. Just the way that it felt, the way it was shooting. I can't say for sure that was the case, but if I had to guess, most of the bows, especially back then, most people shot split finger. And if you shot the bow, in my opinion, 3-under, you're gonna load the bottom limb more than you're gonna load the top limb. So in order to kind of get into the weeds a little bit, because I do like to overcomplicate things sometimes for my own amusement, I decided by elevating that rest that amount with the contact point, the arrow's contact point on the bow, and moving the arrow and finger contact on the string, moving that just slightly up the string to put everything more in alignment with the middle of the bow, to make up for the fact that I'm not shooting split fingers. Just kind of a little thing, a little reason why I made that change, but it did make a drastic difference, I think, in my accuracy. So moving on, my knock point, I shoot 5/8 knock high. Don't ask why, but that's during tuning process, that's just what I settled on. That's what worked good for me. I run 4 yarn ball silencers. I like having 4 silencers. I like having the 2 top ones right here at the string to limb contact points, or near to it, to take out some of that initial vibration between the limb and the string. And then the middle one's about 10 inches down from those into the middle of the string. These were free, they didn't cost me anything. I made them myself. It's super easy to do. If you know anybody that's got some yarn laying around, more than likely they would be fine with parting with some of it. You don't have to have any kind of special yarn to do it. I used kind of like a wool type yarn to do these. It doesn't really make a difference. My string is a B55, actually I'm sorry, this is B50 Flemish twist string that was made for me. It's a great string material, had 0 stretch, 0 rotation. I'm ashamed to say I leave this strung quite a bit, especially with it still being season here in Missouri. I've had no problems with it stretching, so I'm not really worried about it being strung, and it gets to be kind of a pain in the neck, especially whenever you're trying to wake up and go early and get an hour or two worth of hunting in before work or something like that. You know, having to sit there and string your bow is just one more thing you're having to do. I do run a clicker. I'm sure some of you hardcore purists out there are going to give me grief for it, but upon learning and getting into all this, a clicker made a absolute night and day difference for me. I cannot imagine at this point not using one or not having one, because the level of accuracy and consistency that I've been able to achieve in a really not that long period of time has been undescribable, really. I really don't think I would be at the point I'm at now if I didn't have a clicker. I'll just leave it at that. There's plenty of good videos out there on running clickers, how to set them up properly. I'm just gonna go ahead and plug Joel Turner over at Shot IQ, his video. I can't remember if he did it for the Shot IQ channel or if he did it for the Push channel, but Joel Turner's video on setting up a clicker, it's a great video, and it's gonna tell you everything that you need to know, and to keep me from having to go into the weeds on it anymore. I did replace the string that it came with, kind of a cheap nylon string, and the little bead chain that it comes with. I didn't like it. It's just kind of cheap to me, and it was dinging up my bow every time I'd shoot it. And that nylon string material that this comes with, I just feel like it's kind of spongy whenever you got a lot of tension on it. Like you're not getting a consistent click. I can't describe it to you. It's just something you'd have to shoot a lot and kind of come to that conclusion on your own. But I didn't like it. I wasn't real pleased with it, so it didn't take me a real long time to go ahead and replace it with some D-loop material, which is what I did here. It's peace of mind, especially during a long practice session or something like that, that I'm not getting any inconsistencies out of my string material for the clicker, and that everything's the same every single time. So that's pretty well everything with the bow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into the arrows. They're 400 spine carbon legacies, cut to 28.5 inches. They have a 4-inch shield cut feather, left wing, left helical, 226 grains total up front, 26 grain insert, 200 grain heads. Broadheads, I'm using Bear Paw Products, German Jaegers, 200 grain. They fly very well in comparison to my field points. There's essentially no variance, which is what you want. So very pleased with those, especially for the price. Not gonna lie, for the price I was a little bit skeptical, but they're Bear Paw products. I wasn't really concerned. They spin true, they fly true, and they're very sharp. But yeah, those are my arrows set up. I'll show you one with the broadheads on it. Like I said, I'm getting great performance out of them. I think I'm setting somewhere around 515 grains overall in my arrow. Like I said, 226 grains up front, and I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 18 to 20 FOC. I'm happy with that, and they're a little bit stiff, I've noticed. I wish that I had gone with just a little bit more weight, maybe pushing up more than 250 grains up front. So I'm just getting a tiny bit of tail right about the first few yards of arrow flight right off the bow, and it's straightening out relatively quickly, but it's shooting straight enough and fast enough that where I'm at right now, I'm not trying to make any more real great changes. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at altogether. And of course, I'm not going to end the video without talking about my quiver. I use a Selway slide-on quiver, the plastic hood. I can't brag on Selway enough. The quality and the fact that something so rudimentary, really, I mean, it's just rubber with a slot cut in it to slide over your limbs. You know, you'd think after hundreds of shots that they would move a little. That I can tell, I don't think that they've moved at all, even a smidge. They held tremendously well, even in the rain. I'm super pleased. I won't buy another quiver. I also use their stringer as well. I'm going to always be buying Selway quivers for the rest of forever. I'm pretty confident in saying that. But last couple things here before I wrap the video up. I'm a big on having a good contact point on the bow, especially from my past with shooting a compound. What I did here to eliminate any moving around of my hand on this, you know, slick wood like you have with these bows, especially if it's raining, your hands are wet or sweaty. I use skateboard deck tape. It's awesome stuff. I've used it on a lot of things. I've used it on pistol grips and pistol frames over the years. It works tremendously well for a lot of stuff. Not too rough, doesn't eat my hands up or anything like that. I'm definitely pleased there. Last thing, my tab. I made this tab. I affectionately call it a micro tab. Because it is custom made to me. You can't buy it, there's not another one out there, this is the only one. But it fits, as far as the width, to my 3 fingers perfectly. Just enough to keep, you know, any string pinch from coming around and grabbing my fingers, but it's no bigger or wider than it needs to be. It's just the perfect little tab. The one thing I did do and opt for, rather than paracord like some of the tabs out there, I went with bungee material for this one. It just gets a nice little, you know, consistent grab on my finger. It, you know, doesn't move around or fall off, especially when you're wearing gloves. It kind of grips into those gloves and keeps it from sliding up and down my fingers. And it works really well, and I'm glad that I did the bungee instead of paracord. So, well, I'll probably end up getting a Black Widow 3-under tab here in the near future with calf hair to help kind of clean up my garbage release a little bit. It's one of the big things I'm still working on and getting some inconsistencies out of, and I think the calf hair would really help until I perfect my technique. So anyway, that's what I got going on, guys. I've been having a blast. I said I've been avid archer for over 15 years as far as my experience with a compound, and I've never had so much fun shooting a bow and going headlong into anything archery like I have with trad, and just the idea of carrying this and looking over in my tree and seeing this hanging on the hook, and knowing that I feel confident at this point, at least within a certain range, and no sights, you know, no cables, no cams, it's just a stick and a string. It's very fulfilling, and it's fun. I wish I'd done it a long time ago, but like I said early in the video, I wanted to go down the path the right way and commit to it, and be taught correctly as to not start bad habits from the get-go and end up with full-blown target panic with trad gear like many experience, and like I experienced for the better part of 8 years with a compound. So if you're thinking about getting into it, just don't even think about it, just do it. There's no time like now. I said I've been having so much fun. I wish I'd done it a long time ago. That's my greatest regret, and you're not going to be sorry. But seek the right information. seek the right people to teach you. I guess it wouldn't be me doing my due diligence unless I tried to point you in the right direction, just based off of what I know. Joel Turner, Shot IQ, wealth of information, lots of content out there. He has some great classes, instructional videos that you can get a hold of. The guys over at the Push channel, those guys are awesome. Lots of information there, free on YouTube. All you got to do is take the time to watch it. Tom Klum with Solid Archery Mechanics, and also Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear. Great wealth of knowledge there, tons of experience. He's been doing it for decades. I believe he is a certified Olympic coach, you know, as far as his certification level. So the guy knows what he's talking about. Him and both of his sons. Aaron Snyder over at Kafaru International. He puts on a lot of helpful information through the Kafaru Cast channel on YouTube, so go check out all of his trad videos, and kind of him talking about his journey into traditional archery. But like I said, there's lots of helpful information out there, but seek it, you know, seek the right information, and figure out what works for you, you know, especially when it comes to your shooting style, you know, whether you're going to shoot instinctive or gap or, you know, string walking or whatever. I kind of shoot a combination of gap and split vision, kind of leaning more towards the gap side of things, and it works for me. It may not work for you. Anyway, I've made this video long enough, so thanks for watching. Not really sure what videos I'm gonna have next. This was just kind of something I've been wanting to do here for the past couple weeks, and hope you guys enjoy it. So, you know, maybe like, subscribe, you know, whatever you want to do. Come stop by every once in a while, see if I've uploaded anything new. So anyway, you guys have a good one.